Hi, everyone. So this is just a quick introduction to the daily tracker spreadsheet. And this is one of two spreadsheets that I use to sort of track and manage my life. There are two sheets in the spreadsheet. There's a metrics sheet and a notes sheet. I use these because I want to sort of be reminded of what it is I care about on a daily basis. And I also want to pay attention to those trends. And I suppose I care about those things because in 2018, I had a pretty rough time. I think a lot of things kind of built up, and I want to be just aware of how things are going so that I can, basically improve, optimize my life, avoid falling into, I suppose, a pit, and developing bad mental health or developing poor habits and so on by just, I suppose, paying attention to things and getting the early warning signs from, seeing that trends are going in the wrong direction, etc. So how it works is you have dates on the left. It's pretty easy to add new dates. You can just add new rows. You can also, when you add the new row, just drag up the existing dates and then they will add new ones like this. And then you add the things you want to track here. So I have life satisfaction. I have my overall rating for the day. You can see kind of more information about them in the comments. I have my distribution of experiences. I think a pretty easy way to do this, regardless of numbers, is to sort of think, like, assign some value for time that you definitely wouldn't want to live again. So let's say below, in this case, a 5, you definitely wouldn't want to live again. Assign a value for, like, out of 10 for experiences you would like to live again. Let's say that's above a 7.5. And then you have kind of somewhere in the middle. So, I mean, it's easy to know that was a really shit thing that happened. I was really unhappy, etc. I wouldn't like to live that again. And it's easy to know, I was having a really good time there. I definitely would live that again. So you kind of have those three states of time you definitely want to live again, time you not really sure you would like to live again, and then time that you are sure you would like to live again. And in my case, I also have like time that, I was really happy, which is, there's a lot of time I'd like to live again. And there's time that's even sort of better than it needs to be for me to want to live it again. So I track things like that. I track the low and the high points of the day based on those numbers, how much sleep I got, which I use a similar thing above a certain point. I definitely want to, have a night like that again of sleep, and below a certain point, then, definitely not. And then there's like an in between where I'm not really sure, but I may be closer to one end than the other. Track work. I track hours of things I did. It could be exercise, it could be fun time, it could be skateboarding, surfing, dancing, singing, whatever the sort of hobby is that I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing. And I don't do all of those hobbies, just to be clear, but I do some of those. Then I track trends, which is really simple. It can be something as the average of a particular range. So I actually don't think this formula is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe it is. Anyway, yeah. So basically that should be the average of 7. So, the 7-day average is the 7 days divided by 7. So I've tracked that for happiness. I've tracked it in a different way for bad days. I've said a bad day in this case is a day that's below a 7. Probably should be a 7.5, let's say. And yeah, I will basically, when I'm tracking new things or adding new trends, I would just copy these, and then I will change the cells that they refer to. So you can easily do that by hold on a sec now, and I should show you. Yeah, so if you go Control F and then you go also search in formulas, the formulas start to show, and you can just change. So, like, for example, these are referring to C, and you could change them all to refer to J, and then they would be tracking sleep. So similarly, if you wanted, and I do this in my main sheet, you can track like 360 days, and you can see what the average was for 360 days by just changing the number of cells that you're averaging to be the appropriate amount of time. So that's a really quick and probably inadequate introduction to the metrics and then the trends, and I suppose how they're done. And what I do alongside that is I also just do a sort of more qualitative reflection on the day. So any improvements, I usually do the metrics first, and I'd be like, any kind of improvements that I can think about that I should, note down. There any kind of insights that I've had, anything that I've sort of learned, any sort of patterns that I'm starting to notice? Is there anything that I've taken or eaten that's unusual? If I start eating something a lot, like taking a new supplement or something like that, I'll usually put it in the spreadsheet, and track it that way. But like initially, I might just note down that I tried it there, or if there's some like additional information that isn't numerical, I might add it here. Any notable achievements or events, that's more so for just looking back. Anything I'm grateful about, my predictions about the future, any results. So that's useful if you have anxiety or if you're just trying to like see if you're good at predicting things. So I usually do all of this together. It usually takes 5 to 15 minutes in the evening before I go to bed. And I've been doing it now for about 2 years. And in that time, I think it's been very helpful for me in a lot of ways. It's been quite useful for times when I was, worried about something going on for a long time. I could say, well, look at the data, like this only usually lasts for a day or two. It's been good for sort of looking at, if you're going through a bad time, noting that that's only a temporary thing. It's not going to be something that's going to be affecting you probably for very long, given, the prior data, and just seeing in general if like things are getting better or worse. And yeah, so it's been quite useful for me. And then I kind of combine it with the annual review and planner spreadsheet where I might sort of start making goals that emerge from things that I'm seeing here. And yeah, it's like hard to say how much this has helped me because you just don't really know. It's not obviously a proper sort of experiment. I have no control to compare against, but I feel like I've improved my life significantly since I started paying attention to both I suppose the things that I care about and finding out what they are, and then putting them here to remind me that I care about them, and then tracking, I suppose, how I'm doing on my own particular sort of scales for those particular things. So I hope that's useful. Please let me know if you have any questions. I probably won't get around to doing much with this in terms of improving this video or improving the template or anything like that, at least until next year. But I will take things on board when I'm doing that.